I revisit this masterpiece again, because RDR2 isn't just a game, it's an experience, and by the end of this video, you might just find yourself wanting to relive it all over again. Because we'll break it all down, the story, the characters, the open world, the gameplay, the soundtrack, and of course, that gut-wrenching ending that still haunts us years later. So, saddle up cowboys. We're about to take one more ride into the world of RDR2. The heart of Red Dead Redemption 2 is its story, a tragic, slow-burning tale of loyalty, betrayal, and inevitable downfall. Rockstar took their time building this world and its narrative, giving us a game that unfolds like a novel, deliberate, methodical, and deeply personal. Our journey begins in the frozen, unforgiving peaks of Coulter. Blackwater was supposed to be a big score, the kind that sets you up for good. Instead, it's a disaster. The gang is scattered, people are missing, and the law is hunting them like wolves. But the game didn't tell us what exactly went wrong in Blackwater. So now, they're stuck in Coulter, an abandoned mining town up in the mountains, trying to survive blizzards and dwindling supplies. You can feel the tension. Dutch is doing his best to keep everyone hopeful, but not everyone's buying it. Arthur, ever the loyal soldier, pushes forward, but even he knows this is just the beginning of something bad. Eventually, the gang moves down south, settling at Horseshoe Overlook. This is the gang at its best, laughing around the fire, telling stories, dreaming of a better future. The sun is out, the world feels open, and for a little while, things almost seem okay. That's the thing about dreams, they never last. Dutch, always full of grand plans, keeps leading them deeper into trouble. Valentine is a mess. Fistfights, bounty hunters, and an ever-growing list of enemies. The gang is still riding together, but there's an unease creeping in. Arthur starts seeing cracks in Dutch's leadership. Then comes Rhodes, Clemens Point. A peaceful little spot, but the peace is just a mask. The gang gets tangled up in the feud between the Braithwaites and the Greys, two old families locked in a petty, bloody war. At first, Dutch plays them both, thinking he's the smartest man in the room. But that arrogance gets people killed. Braithwaite's family kidnapped the Jack, and now here start the best mission that single-handedly took RDR2 from good to masterpiece. For this first time, we actually see how awesome Vanderlinde Gang is. But after this mission, we came to know that Jack was transferred to Angelo Bronte, who is a wealthy Italian businessman and crime lord, mainly operating in the city of Saint Denis, and that's how they ended up in Saint Denis. This is the beginning of end. Jack is safe, but only because Dutch had to make a deal with Angelo Bronte. Bronte dangles the illusion of power in front of Dutch, feeding his ego, making him feel like he's the smartest man in the room. But Dutch isn't in control anymore. Bronte plays him, humiliates him, and turns Dutch's anger into something dangerous. Because after that, Dutch literally fed Angelo to the alligator. This isn't the same leader the gang once followed. This is a man who can't handle losing. Then comes one more last score, the robbery. The job that was supposed to be the big one. A bank heist in the heart of Saint Denis. Dutch swears it'll set them up for life, but it's turned into a disaster. They lose people, Hosea, Lenny. The gang is shattered, and in the chaos, Dutch leaves John behind. Arthur doesn't say it out loud, but something inside him breaks right then. Hosea's death actually messed up Dutch's mind. And this is where things take a turn that nobody saw coming. In the middle of all this chaos, Arthur gets sick. At first, it's just a cough. He brushes it off, like any gunslinger would. But then it gets worse. One day, after helping a poor family collect a debt, he collapses in the streets of Saint Denis. When he wakes up in the doctor's office, he hears the words that seal his fate.
You got tuberculosis. Really sorry for you, son. It's a hell of a thing.
This is the moment where everything changes. Up until now, Arthur has been running, killing, doing whatever it takes to survive. But when the doctor tells him he doesn't have much time left, you see it in his eyes. Fear, confusion, but also something else. Realization. Every choice he's made, every person he's hurt, it all comes rushing back. The gang is falling apart. Dutch is losing his mind. And Arthur is dying. From that moment on, he starts looking at life differently. He's not chasing the money anymore. He's thinking about what really matters. About the people he's hurt. About the people he can still save. And that's what makes the final stretch of the game so powerful. Now, all of a sudden, we ended up in the Guarma. Guarma is a fever dream. A nightmare. Lost, stranded, and barely alive, the gang is pushed to its limits. Dutch is unraveling. He kills without hesitation, abandons people who've been loyal for years, and starts listening to Micah more than anyone else. When they finally return home, it's not home anymore. Beaver Hollow is a ghost town. The people who used to trust Dutch now live in fear of him. And Arthur? He knows it's over. The gang is dead. The only thing left to do is make sure the right people get out alive. Let's fast forward to the part where Arthur learns the truth. Micah was the rat. He was the one feeding information to the feds, leading the gang into one ambush after another, all while pretending to be Dutch's most loyal follower. And Dutch, blind with pride, let him. That's when Arthur knows. It's over. The gang is beyond saving. Dutch won't listen. Not to him, not to reason. But Arthur isn't done yet. If he can't save the gang, he can still save John. And then comes the final moment. The moment where everything truly falls apart. The gang stands divided. The weight of months of blood and betrayal pressing down on them. Arthur, gaunt and coughing up blood, stands on one side with John by his side. Micah, grinning like the rat he is, stands on the other, and in between them, Dutch, the man Arthur once trusted more than anyone, now a ghost of himself, too blind to see the truth. Loyalty is tested. Old friendships turn to dust. Arthur doesn't beg. He doesn't plead. He simply tells Dutch the truth, that Micah is a traitor, that this has all gone too far. But Dutch, stubborn and proud, can't bring himself to choose a side. He hesitates. For the first time, he looks unsure, but in the end, he walks away, leaving Arthur and Micah to settle things alone. What happens next depends on the choices you've made, but the outcome is always the same. Arthur Morgan's time has run out. Whether he dies fighting or simply watches the sun rise one last time, his fate is sealed. And as the credits roll, you don't just feel like you've finished a game, you feel like you've lived a life. That's why Red Dead Redemption 2 is unforgettable. Because it isn't just a story about outlaws, it's a story about people, about choices, about regret and redemption, and the things we leave behind. What makes Red Dead Redemption 2 unforgettable is how its characters feel like real people, rather than just figures on a screen. Each one drawn with a care that makes them feel incredibly real. Dutch van der Linde, the once charismatic leader with grand visions of freedom, slowly morphs into a tragic figure. His idealism corroded by his own hubris and the constant betrayals around him. His speeches, once full of promise, now echo with desperation. Then there's John Marston, a man burdened by his past, whose quiet determination and fierce love for his family hint at the man he will one day become. John's evolution is subtle, but powerful, as he grapples with the responsibilities thrust upon him by a life of crime. Arthur Morgan stands at the center of it all, a complex blend of toughness and tenderness. He's a man who has committed unspeakable acts, yet beneath that hardened exterior lies a deep capacity for regret and redemption. Arthur's internal struggles are palpable, and his journey from a loyal enforcer to a man seeking to make amends is perhaps the most profound transformation of all. Supporting characters like Sadie Adler with her fierce resilience and unyielding spirit, and Charles, whose quiet strength anchors the group, enrich this world. Even the antagonists, Micah's venomous betrayal and Bronte's cunning manipulation, add layers of moral complexity, ensuring that every interaction leaves its mark. Each character is more than just a role, they are the soul of the game, contributing to an emotional tapestry that stays with you long after you've finished playing. The open world in Red Dead Redemption 2 is a massive living playground that you can get lost in. And it's not about a scripted story, it's about exploring at your own pace and soaking it all in. Think of it as a really detailed sandbox, where every bit of scenery has its own vibe. You're not just riding from one mission to another, you're genuinely discovering things that make you stop and appreciate the little details. For example, you might be riding across a vast plain when you suddenly notice how the light changes as the sun rises, making the whole landscape glow. The way trees sway in the wind, the random encounters with wildlife, or even stumbling on an abandoned cabin with hints of its past. All these elements add layers to the experience. It's a world that feels unpredictable. One minute you're enjoying a peaceful ride, and the next, a sudden storm forces you to change your route or find shelter. What really stands out is the sense of scale. The areas are huge, and there's always something new around the corner. Whether it's a bustling town full of character or a quiet, hidden spot that feels untouched by time. The dynamic weather and changing time of day aren't just cosmetic, they affect how you experience the world. You get a sense of time passing naturally, and it makes every exploration feel unique. In short, the open world of RDR2 isn't designed to push you through a linear narrative. It's there for you to wander, discover, and create your own stories. It's immersive without feeling forced. and it invites you to slow down and really engage with everything it has to offer. The gameplay in Red Dead Redemption 2 is one of those things that people either love or find frustrating. Some say it's slow, clunky, and too realistic for its own good. But personally, I think that's what makes it great. The way the gameplay flows. It's not just about running from one action-packed moment to the next. It's about living in the world, feeling every movement, and making every action count. That's what sets RDR2 apart from other open-world games. Let's talk about the gunplay first. The combat feels weighty, and every shot has impact. You can't just spray and pray. Every bullet matters. When you fire a revolver, it feels like a revolver. It's not some quick arcade-style shooter where you zip around like a superhero. You take your time, line up your shots, and rely on the Deadeye system to pull off those cinematic moments. And when you actually hit an enemy, the way they react, stumbling, clutching their wounds, or dropping to the ground, it makes every gunfight feel intense. Now, the movement. This is where some people feel like RDR2 is too slow, but honestly, I think that's what makes it work. Arthur doesn't just turn on a dime like in a typical action game. He moves with weight, with purpose. At first, it might feel a little sluggish, but once you get used to it, you start to appreciate how it adds to the immersion. When Arthur loots a body, you actually see him go through the pockets. When he reloads his gun, you feel the time it takes. It's all these little things that make the world feel real. And speaking of realism, the survival mechanics add so much to the experience. You can't just sprint across the map non-stop. You need to eat, rest, and take care of yourself. Your horse needs attention too, whether it's brushing it after a muddy ride or calming it down after a gunfight. Even cleaning your weapons is a thing. Some people might see this as unnecessary busy work, but I think it just makes the world feel alive. That being said, I do have to agree with one common complaint: the hand-to-hand combat. It's not the smoothest. The punches feel a little slow, the dodging is kinda clunky, and sometimes the animations don't quite connect the way they should. It's not unplayable. It gets the job done for bar fights and brawls, but compared to the gunplay, it's definitely the weakest part of the combat system. But overall, I think the gameplay in RDR2 isn't meant to be fun in the traditional sense. It's not about fast action or instant gratification. It's about pulling you into the world and making you feel like you're actually living Arthur's life. And once you accept that, the slow, deliberate pace becomes one of the game's biggest strengths. The soundtrack of Red Dead Redemption 2 is one of those things that just sneaks up on you. At first, it's subtle, blending into the world so naturally that you don't even notice it. But then, when the moment is right, the music hits hard, turning already emotional moments into something unforgettable. The way RDR2 uses its music is different from most games. A lot of open-world games have soundtracks that are constantly playing in the background, but here, the music often takes a step back, letting the world breathe. You hear the wind rustling through the trees, the distant howl of a coyote, the clinking of spurs as Arthur walks through a town. But when the soundtrack does kick in, it elevates the moment in a way that few games manage to pull off. If there's one song that defines RDR2, it's "That's the Way It Is" by Daniel Lanois. This track plays during one of the most gut-wrenching moments in the game, Arthur's final ride. The soundtrack of Red Dead Redemption 2 is one of those things that just sneaks up on you. At first, it's subtle, blending into the world so naturally that you don't even notice it. Back to camp, after realizing that everything he fought for is crumbling around him. He knows he's dying, he knows the gang is falling apart, and he knows that there's no happy ending for him. And then this song starts playing. The melancholic guitars, the soft but haunting vocals. It's the perfect musical send-off for Arthur. There's a sense of peace in the song, but also a deep sadness. Arthur, for all the violence and chaos in his life, finally seems to accept his fate. It's one of those moments where everything, the music, the story, the gameplay, aligns perfectly, creating a scene that sticks with you long after the credits roll. Then, on the complete opposite end of the spectrum, you have American Venom. This track kicks in during the game's epilogue, as John Marston rides to confront Micah Bell once and for all. If That's the Way It Is about reflection and acceptance. American Venom is pure, adrenaline-fueled revenge. The pounding drums, the intense strings, everything about this track screams final showdown. It's aggressive, it's fast-paced, and it perfectly captures the anger and determination that John is feeling in that moment. You're not just riding into a fight, you're riding into the fight. After everything Micah has done, after everything he's taken from both Arthur and John, this is the moment where it all comes to a head. And the music makes sure you feel it. Beyond these two standout tracks, the entire soundtrack of RDR2 is a masterpiece. Woody Jackson's score blends old-school Western sounds with emotional, atmospheric tracks that add depth to every moment. Whether it's the lonely twang of a guitar as you ride through the wilderness, or the intense orchestral build-up during a gunfight, the music always feels perfectly placed. In the end, Red Dead Redemption 2's soundtrack isn't just background noise, it's a key part of the storytelling. It makes you feel every moment, from Arthur's quiet reflections to John's burning need for justice. And when the credits finally roll, the music stays with you, reminding you of the journey you just took through one of the most unforgettable games ever made. RDR2 isn't just another open-world game. It's an experience, one that demands patience, rewards investment, and sticks with you long after the credits roll. Few games have ever managed to tell a story this personal, build a world this immersive, or create a character as compelling as Arthur Morgan. Years later, we're still talking about it, and honestly, we probably always will. And if you haven't played it yet, well, partner, it's never too late to take that ride. Also, our next video is going to be about evolution of Arthur and Dutch relationship, from Arthur's childhood to RDR2 ending, so make sure to subscribe.